Hi, and welcome to my blog. Sorry it's been a couple days, probably around a week. And I actually did record another blog in the interim. I didn't post it because I didn't have time or whatever. I talked about Sally Kern. Probably a lot's been said about Sally Kern. And I really couldn't do it any more justice than Ellen DeGeneres did on her show. So if you haven't seen that, go and watch it. If you don't know who Sally Kern is, then you're living under a rock. She's this Oklahoma state legislator who has some rather bizarre ideas about gay people. They're actually not bizarre. They're like these right-wing conspiracy things that she said that gay people are worse than terrorists, and it's just bad. The one point that I did make that I will repeat now, since I didn't post the blog, was that the HRC the HRC, of course, came out against Sally Kern and mentioned that they have 700,000 members. Maybe I did mention that somewhere else. Oh well. Anyway, I want to point that out because it's about the same number of members that the ACLU has, and that these liberal groups tend to have about the same, and there are probably large overlaps between them, which is kind of really sad. Supreme Court, we're now going to have an individual right to own guns. Don't know what that's going to mean. I think it's going to play out rather interestingly with what the court does. I suspect that they're going to recognize the right, possibly send it back down to the court saying apply reasonable, don't apply strict scrutiny, apply heightened scrutiny or some other scrutiny to the laws, but that they will recognize that the government has a public safety interest in regulating guns, possibly not in the home. I think that's probably going to have some Fourth and Fifth Amendment problems. The Supreme Court gets real sensitive about the government intruding into the home and what you can do there. So having a gun in the home, they may be a little more skeptical about, but we'll see. We'll see what they do. But now what I really want to talk to you about, it seems that, well, several weeks ago, Barack Obama got an endorsement by Louis Farrakhan and was criticized for not denouncing, instead he renounced, whatever. I got in a little trouble because I put up a post saying, well, you know, there are members of the Nation of Islam on his staff. It's an internet rumor. I had listened to it. It may or may not be true. But when I did a Google search for it, what I found was that the Reverend Wright's name kept coming up and coming up and coming up and coming up, and these extreme views that his reverend held. So it really isn't news that the Reverend Wright has held these views, because it's been out there in the public domain for a while. What is news is that the media finally picked up on it. And the Obama campaign began to reel, and so he gave a speech on race relations yesterday in Philadelphia. And today the media is talking about the dialogue that we have on race relations that Barack Obama started. And I take great exception to this, because we are not having a dialogue. We can have a monologue on race relations, because as soon as the Clinton campaign or anybody that is not a person of color begins to talk about race and the Obama campaign, they are labeled racist. They did it with Bill Clinton, they did it with Geraldine Ferraro, and they just keep doing it. They don't want to bring up race, but when he brings it up, it is a dialogue. Well, no. If you want to have a dialogue, you have to be able to listen to both sides. And there is a lot of white liberal guilt out there, and white liberal guilt exists. And when people say things like, if there was an unqualified woman versus a qualified African American, that the woman would not have gotten as far as Barack Obama has. But Hillary Clinton is qualified and he isn't, and so turning the tables in this way, suddenly you're denounced as you're being racist. No, what we're saying is that there are a lot of people out there who have this kind of white liberal guilt and are willing to overlook the deficiencies that Barack Obama has, his non-indistinguished career in the Senate, the fact that he really hasn't done anything, the fact that he really is a politician like every single other politician out there, that he's an opportunist, that he is a wonderful orator, he's a great orator, don't deny that. But when you look at what the man has done, ain't a whole lot there. But when you point that out, it's you're racist, oh, you're just not. He wants to bring everybody into the fold, which is another problem that I have with what he's done. Sure, the Reverend Wright has left his religious advisory committee now, even though his views were known for long periods of time. Barack Obama wasn't in church those days when he was espousing them, but he wants to have it both ways, and the way the media put it was, hate the sin, love the sinner. That he did this with the Reverend Macaulay, the anti-gay one. He kept him around. Oh, I disagree with what he says, but as a man, I love him. Well, no, I'm sorry. When Geraldine Ferraro said something that was deemed racist, I totally agree with what Geraldine Ferraro said, by the way, or at least what I've heard of what Geraldine Ferraro said. The Clinton campaign said, okay, we have to get rid of you. They had to get rid of a number of people throughout the campaign because it was a public relations embarrassment, and they kind of denounced them. Well, here it is the Obama campaign renouncing the View. They got rid of him this time. Maybe they've learned that they can't keep him around, but he's still, going to be Obama's pastor. So the guy likes to have it both ways. Anyway, that's the way I see it. So I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Good. You can answer your feet.